Coach Gail, what's up, man? I see a lot of people signing in. I,
What's good?
Pops, I don't know if people could hear me before.
No, they could. They could. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So it was something with the phone last time.
It was the phone you had. It was like a what's it
One
called?
second.
I think it was like a Motorola or something. That's why it wasn't working.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was a flip phone. Yeah,
Good phone. Yeah. Standard. Hey, we look like we got similar shirts on today.
it's the colors, man. Got to
Yeah.
represent.
African giant.
Yo, so speaking about the doc.
Oh wait, hold up. You saw what Stanley just wrote? My guy Stan.
Nah, I see what he said.
He said, shouldn't it be Pops and Deng instead of Deng and Pops because Ghana had independence first?
Oh, see, this is the problem. Let me shout out Stan real quick for everything that he done. Stan,
African
salute,
chop
man.
house, baby.
Yeah, but we gotta get away from. First of all, Africa is one. We all get independent. We all get it together. They divided us up, so and South Sudan claim Pops anyway. So we gotta know. The line says he's Ghanaian, but he's definitely South Sudanese.
No, the bounce said I was Ghanaian. Bounce says I'm Ghanaian.
Nah, listen. When we went to your village, we met with the king. He gave you the history, the breakdown.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. We got to tell that story, man. I remember, so my uncle, who's the Ashanti king, we went to Kumasi in Ghana when we first went there with the NBA, and he looked at the both of us, and he was like, man, you guys, like, favor each other. Height, I don't know, he didn't say height because I'm clearly taller than you. He was talking about just how we favored each other.
He must have been sitting down. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, so you look taller than you actually are. And then he told us about what happened in East Africa hundreds of years ago in regards to the migration pattern, and that a lot of people migrated from east and went across the continent, and some people stopped off in Central Africa, some people stopped off in Senegal, Ghana, and Ivory Coast. So if you look at the body makeup of people on the east, in like Kenyan, South Sudanese, like all these people, they're tall, skinny, dark, and if you just look at different parts of the country, like West Africa, you have people with the similar builds too. And my uncle was telling me how that came about, so that was pretty dope. So, we all know Lou is Ghanaian at heart, so respect. We accept you. We embrace you.
Hey, listen,
you are welcome.
Hey, listen, that was one of the best experiences ever.
Burundian.
Not only being in Ghana, but also, traveling to where you're from, me and with your uncles and relatives. That was dope, man. And the crazy thing is, we were there because we were doing basketball. You were doing a basketball clinic.
Right.
Which, you circle back now, and now there's a league.
Exactly.
Which, it's kind of, to me, it makes me so happy because we've been talking about it, but we did so much to try to bring that league. I mean, just not even just the league, the attention of just young African kids who, wanna be part of the game.
Yeah, man, that's crazy you say that, man. I think that was 2013, 2014 we went to Ghana.
Yeah.
And like we hadn't even the thought of the Basketball Africa League probably had never came up. And fast forward 7 years later, we're talking about a professional league being backed by the NBA and FIBA on the continent. And I remember, and this is a different episode, I remember calling, Amadou and, some of the others at the NBA Africa and told them, I want to own a team in Ghana. Standard. Yeah. I was like, that's done. I was like, whatever it takes to do, we're going to do it. And in due time, there's going to be a team in Ghana, and we're going to build an arena there too. So again, we're skipping over episodes. So where are we at from last week?
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the questions now because I really want to jump into questions right away. I think we ended it with something around when I was traded from Chicago after being there 10 years, and you spoke. I don't know. Did you speak a little bit about what it takes just to get up and get going again when you invest in one organization and all of a sudden, they've made up their mind to move a different direction already.
Man, it's pain, dog. It's pain, and now that I'm on this side of the game, in the front office side, it opened my eyes to a lot more, and it didn't take away from the bitterness that I held or the pain that I had every time I was cut or released from a team. But now that I'm on the front office side, I think it allows me to do my job a little better because I've kind of understand the game more and I understand what was going on at the time, especially when I got cut and some of the decisions that I was made. Now, maybe the delivery or the way I received the message wasn't the best, or to me at the time, something that I could really accept or receive, because you're telling somebody you're getting traded or we're cutting you. So you're basically telling them we're cutting your dreams short at this moment in time in your life. And I just remember, speaking of pro, when I first ended up going to Italy, I was protesting the NBA. Like I would never wear NBA socks, NBA spandex or whatever, shorts or nothing. And I remember my teammate had a pair and he was like, yo, he actually asked for a pair of socks and I gave him a pair of NBA socks. And he was like, oh, you got more? I was like, you can have whatever you want. I don't wear NBA socks. He was like, why? I was like, because I don't mess with them, man. I don't mess with the NBA. And he was like, I don't think anybody in the NBA cares if you're not wearing socks overseas. So, I think I was in my feelings and I took it personal. And the business side of the NBA is crazy, and you have to learn how to be professional and take it the right way because you can't burn those bridges. And I think luckily I didn't let my emotions get the best of me when those occurrences did happen, and it allowed me to thrive now that I've retired and gotten to the front office side.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I would tell people, I think the one thing that, you really have to stay true to, what you're trying to accomplish. I think, for me, I would say definitely, it definitely hurt when I got traded. And with that being said, I'm lucky to be with one organization for 10 years. Not a lot of people could say that, but it didn't hit me until, later on, after a few years after being gone, because you're bitter. You're bitter, you're upset at how things went. You start to reflect back. I gave it everything. You remember the days where, you were hurt, but you got up and played, because you love playing and you're passionate about it, but you're giving everything for that organization and that jersey you're wearing. So when they just decide, you think it was a split second, but you don't really know, whether they thought about it for a while, whether they decided right away or an opportunity came up and they made a decision. Those are things that now, Pops, because you're on the other side. But those are things that, as a player, you don't understand. You don't understand how those decisions are made. You just go with your feelings. Like, yo, man, I've been here for 10 years, and overnight at 1:40 in the morning, you're giving me a phone call telling me I'm traded. And
at least you got the phone call, though.
Yeah, but
at least you didn't find out on Instagram or Twitter or ESPN.
No, I had teammates who got traded while we were on the bus to a game. I got in LA. I had a teammate who got traded while we were on a plane.
So he had to stay on the flight the whole time.
And we landed. He couldn't get out of the plane. He had to sit there and go find his way from there. Because once you're traded, the team that you're with, they're not responsible for you anymore.
So it's the other team that has to take.
Everything now is done with the other team, because if anything happens, you weren't in their hands. That's just how it works. So for me, it was definitely. But now when I look back afterward, after a few years, you look back and I was so invested in being great or just doing what I got to do that you look back, and anytime now, anywhere I go, and people talk to me or say my name, it's always Chicago Bulls. It's not anywhere else. It's not, Luol Deng in Cleveland, here in Miami, because I live here and I love people here. I always get love in Miami. And I was only here for 2 years, but the love from Miami is incredible for someone who's been here for 2 years. So for me, it's worth it. But you look back and you're like, man, I'm I'm a Bull. I'm a Chicago Bull because I've been there for so long. So after years, that's gone, but it definitely hurts when you get traded. Like I said, I wanna jump into, I don't know, Pops, if you have questions, but I'm learning how to do this. I see some questions here. Someone says, Pops, where did you get the crew neck from? I don't know if you want to take that questions, but
this was a campaign that the Players Association did a few years ago, actually for the first NBA Africa game that you pretty much helped facilitate in Johannesburg. And this is part of the line that they did that had all the African sweaters and hoodies and jackets. And, obviously with a big moment, and I have another one that's red and it has all the countries, the African countries that have ever been represented in the NBA.
See, yeah, listen. So what popped up? Listen, I'm gonna be honest. This is a great question, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I told you I'm learning how to use this thing. I clicked on it by accident. But hey, we can't look back now.
Oh,
hey, listen,
man.
Hey, we can't look. Listen. But the question is,
I'm a spectator. This for you. This ain't got
no,
nothing this for me.
No, I ain't gonna shy away from it. The question is, how does Luol feel about Danny Ferry and the Hawks organization today? First, let me talk about the whole situation and how it really happened. It's crazy, but I was in Chicago.
Wait, before you go, Lou. Sorry. Before you go.
Go ahead.
So everybody knows on the thing you can see there's a little question mark sign right next to the comment. If you click the question mark sign, your questions will go right to Lou, and he can pick which question he wants to answer. So that's how.
Or he can
he'll accidentally hit it. He'll actually hit the wrong question. So send your questions and hit the question mark right next to the comment box. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah. So I was in Chicago. I remember I was chilling. I remember exactly how it happened, man. I was on the couch watching. The news was basically what's going on in LA. And it was at the. Did the screen just go blank? I'm sorry if it did. I don't know.
No. Yeah. What's it called? Your anytime minutes right now. I don't think you.
Anyway, hey, listen, man, you and your phone joke. So anyway, look, I was in Chicago. I'm on the couch. I'm watching the whole LA thing, with the owner, with Magic, what the owner said, and the whole racism surrounding, the owner of the Clippers at the time and what's happening. And I'm sitting there, and me, Pops, I'm just sitting there like, ooh. I'm sitting there like, yo, so someone got somebody. This is like some spicy stuff, I'm just sitting there, I'm watching, and then all of a sudden, my phone started going off left and right. My phone's going off, and I'm like, yo, my first thing was, yo, what did I do? Like, I'm thinking right away, like, what did I do? Did something happen? What? And I saw, my agent was like, look, ESPN is about to report this thing and your name is in it. And I said, what thing? Like, I called him right away and he said, oh, Danny Ferry said something, or he was recorded saying something and your name came up, and it was something to do with being African. Being African. At the time, I was a free agent. This is right before I signed with the Miami Heat. I was a free agent, and it was a lot of teams who were trying to sign me. And I guess I came up in a topic in their conference meeting. And the reason why, I don't know what was going on with the organization at the time, and they were kind of targeting certain players. And I was one of the players they wanted, but there was a lot more to do with, not my game, just who I am, being African. Within the organization, I guess some people didn't want an African player or a black player for that. So in a meeting, it was recorded to say all that stuff. He said he was reading a report, and he said that somewhere in that report, it said all the stuff about basketball, but then at the end it says, but he's African. So I didn't do anything. It just came my way. And, you know, till today, I always said this. I said, listen, I don't know. I spoke to Danny Ferry afterward, obviously, but I said, look, I don't know Danny Ferry, but I'm going to tackle this because it's not something I'm going to be quiet about, but it's something that I'm actually very proud to be African. So for me, I wanted to put it out there and let people know how proud I am. It wasn't something that I'm trying to hide. It was so stupid. You know, it was so stupid, but at the same time, I try to use it to again, my whole career, just putting Africa out there first and just let people know. And I wrote a statement of how proud I am to be an African. And, you know, that question with the organization, I'm really, there's nothing for me against Atlanta Hawks. This was individuals, you know, and I think that those people might have been called out. I don't know if it's for a good reason or someone was recording them for a selfish reason to benefit. But at the end of the day, it came to light. But I'll tell you guys, you know, honestly, there's a lot of that in a lot of different organizations that don't come to light. Luckily, this came towards me, and I don't mind it at all. I can't see a better person for that to come to than me, because I really wanted to address it, and I wasn't shy about tackling it at all. So, you know, good question. I'm glad it came up because it is part of being a pro. And I approach it the best way I know how to approach it. You know, some people would approach it differently, but that's how I chose to approach it.
Yeah, man, that's deep, man, and it's crazy. When it happened, I was really conflicted and like didn't like the way things went down, because I was like, if I was him, I would have said, I don't want Luol Deng on my team because he's an Arsenal supporter or from South London. But you know, the fact that he went that route, I get it. You know what I'm saying? That would have been understandable. But again, now, well, your response was top notch and very classy, and you know, spoke volumes about your character in that regard. But
hey, what would have happened if I was a Tottenham supporter? What do you think would have happened? It
wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened because
but
on Tottenham High Road, man don't move like that. You understand?
But I'm saying, if it happened, you think they would have signed me because I'm a Tottenham supporter?
No. So me and my big bro, we have this term that I used to watch on the show, and it says, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Wait, what?
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Why?
So we don't do ifs. If. You're not a Tottenham supporter.
Hey, this analogy, I gotta. Hey, listen, I gotta take time for that analogy. But hey, listen, you wanna ask the next question?
No, you get, so only you receive the questions.
Oh shoot! I'm in control.
For once, yes.
Hold on, yo, it's not coming up, Pops. Hold on. Yeah,
you definitely hit the streets of me.
All right, here we go. All right.
Yo, you turn your screen around. Oh, this is like FaceTime with my mom all over again.
No, hold on, man. Let me find. I gotta find one that's.
He turned the screen around.
Huh? Oh shoot! How did that happen? Hey, I didn't do that, bro. Hold on, man. Hey, you distracted me.
Yeah, anybody who's ever FaceTime with an African parent, this is exactly what it looks like. Some people.
I gotta come close because some people wrote a lot and I can't see it.
This is what's like talking to my mom and dad. Hello, and then they do this with the ear. Hello, are you there? That's what Lou is right now.
All right, look. Here's a question from Dennis. Go.
Hey, hold on. Before you go, are you just gonna pick the questions where they speak to Lou, speak to you?
No, obviously he said, because you told him it only comes to me. So basically, you know, he sent this towards me. So he said my name. It's like, you know what I mean?
No. Why you live in London?
It says, look, Pops, I'm going to change it. It says, Pops, you lived in London. What is the best way to get my young kids involved in basketball in a way that can potentially lead to a full-time?
A full-time...
I guess it's not right there, but I'm saying like a full-time, let's say a full-time basketball player, a full-time, just something that will direct them that way to, you know. I mean, think about it. We talk a lot about basketball opens a lot of doors, especially when you get a scholarship. You know, you could go on and be anything, really. You could take the opportunity from it. So for you, Pops, what would be, what would you say, especially growing up in London?
Man, I say now more than ever, there are more local teams and teams in neighboring areas. And for me, I was traveling an hour. Big Bro was traveling all the way to Brixton. So it just speaks to the dedication that we had at a younger age, that we would travel so far to play a sport that we didn't know was gonna grant us so many opportunities. But I would say to my man is yeah, definitely find your local team and then latch onto that, and just try your best to consistently go to practice. I know for me there was a time where I told you I was messing up in school when I was in secondary school, and my dad stopped me from playing for a year, and like that's when I realized how much I loved basketball. Was when it was taken away from me. So you never know how much you love something until it's gone. And so when my dad was like, until you get your schoolwork up to par, you're not going to be playing any sports. And it took me 2 weeks before I figured that out and got started getting on the right path. But to Dennis, I think his name was. Yeah, just look for your local team. I'm not sure where you're located or where you are, but now there's teams everywhere. Especially the sport has grown and continues to grow. And Luol and myself, we're definitely working towards building the sport in not only Africa but in England too. Because if you can walk down the street and see somebody 6'6" just walking, and they've probably never seen or touched a basketball before. And I think for a city like London and a country like Great Britain to not have a system or infrastructure in place that allows these young kids to benefit from playing the game is a shame. And I know we're going to speak about it later on, but we really have to continue working and helping these kids get in the right position to succeed.
All right, before I agree with everything Pops is saying. I'll just say my two pieces with that real quick. I think, Dennis, it's important for everyone out there too, especially in London, it's really important to support your kids or, support whoever you're mentoring or encouraging. It's really important who they're around. I think sports, a lot of times, the way we benefit from sports is who was around it. Me, obviously, going to Brixton, I was around Jimmy, and there was a lot of discipline that played in other parts. For example, I was around guys that worked hard, they did the right thing, they were good people, good friends, but they also had goals. And, that kind of helped me a lot. Even though it's basketball practice, there was other stuff that I involved with being around a good, organization or, being around good people. So I would say encouragement is huge. And a lot of times, like Pop say, when you get to 16, 17, it becomes more difficult as you get older because you want to take your game to the next level, but it's not, the opportunities are not there. So sticking with it and, just keep pushing. That's what I would say.
I got one. So speaking of,
go ahead.
You mentioned mentorship and having the right people in place. In that regard, going back to what we were talking about while we were in the league or playing professionally, did you have any mentors on and off the court that helped you through your path in the league?
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I think for me, I'd say I have more than one mentor. I've really been very blessed to have people in my life that I could reach out to and speak to. I think earlier on in my career, just speaking about vets in the team, I had guys in the team that, not only wanted to help me. I came in at a young age. I was 19, and I had guys who been in the league for a while, and they were giving me the right advice in terms of how to survive in this league, what it takes to be in this league. Off the court, as you know, you and I always talk to Matthew Ryder. Shout out to Matthew Ryder. He would tell you guys how many times it's just picking his brain. Matthew would tell you guys even Matthew was preaching me about doing stuff off the court way before,
Man, years ago. Years ago.
way before I was even, you know, in my prime in the NBA. And Matthew was, I was coming back to London. He's putting me in a car and we're driving around and he's showing me real estate opportunities and businesses and where you should put your money, just things like that. You know, I've really, I don't take that, you know, for granted. I mean, I always, people that been through it, those are the people that you always want to listen to. But there's also people who generally want to help you out, and I've had those. So that's a blessing.
Yeah, man, that's crazy you say that, especially in regards to Matthew. I mean, Matthew Ryder has been championing this cause or just being a friend and a mentor since we were kids. You know, kids. Like, this is 20 plus years that he's more than that. Actually, it's probably 25 years that I've probably known Matt. And like you said, the crazy story, I think it was like 2010, he was telling me about some real estate stuff and where I should be looking and what to buy. And, you know, I was younger back then. I wasn't really thinking.
Pops, I don't want to cut you off, but you see Matthew's in there, said, thank you, brothers. Yo.
Yeah.
Hey, put the pressure on Matthew. People want rough and ready back, Matthew.
Standard. Has to bring it back.
Put the pressure on him. Whatever
MC
we
Ryder
gotta,
is his name.
hey, listen,
MC
whatever
Ryder
we gotta do, let bygones be bygones. We want rough and ready back.
We want it back, bro. We want it back. No imitations, nothing. Yeah. So yeah, he was telling me about, you know, just things that I would never fathom to think about as a player, as a current player anyway. And he was like, yeah, you should probably look at real estate and the Olympics are coming. And I was like, yeah, I hear you. And what's crazy was I didn't do nothing about it. And then the Olympics came, and then he texted me and was like, those houses I was telling you were looking at, they've gone up 45%. Yeah. And from that day forward, whenever I make a decision or whenever I need help with something, Matthew's one of the first people I speak to, because even if it's something that he may not be related to or have, you know, the knowledge of, I always take heed to what he says. So he's definitely one mentor. I mean, obviously, you know, you were fortunate enough in regards to mentorship to have Jimmy a little longer than, you know, I was able to have Joe. So I didn't have the person who showed me the game from the start to be around during my career. So, you know, for me, it was obviously Big Bro, my brother, who shared similar experiences as far as path to the U.S., high school, college, and, you know, as a professional athlete. And, you know, there's Kojo, there's Amadou for sure. When I met him, you know, and then you and I would speak a lot too. Like I said, you may be younger than me, but because of your experience in high school, college, and the NBA, I could only lean on you in that regard because you had that experience. So anytime I make, like when I retired, when I was thinking about coming into the league, you know, whether I remember, it's funny, crazy stuff. I don't know if you remember this. I played a game in the G League, and it's probably one of my best games ever. I had like 46 and 19 or something, and the Bulls tried to call us up, and I called you, and I was like, "Yo, Lou, the Bulls are trying to call me up, but 4 other teams were trying to call me up too." And because I was playing for San Antonio's G League team, they had the rights. And before I could get a chance to call my my agent and be like, "Look, I want to go to the Bulls," he called me back and was like, "San Antonio's already called you up." And I was like, "Yeah, Lou, I just got caught up by the Bulls, but I can't come. So I'll talk to you another time." And then we ended up playing against each other. No, I think you were hurt, but when I played in Toronto, and the Bulls came to Canada to play us. That's great. I remember that joint like it was yesterday. But so yeah, those are my mentors. Big Bro, you know, Joe always referenced the stuff that he taught me at a young age. Then Amadou, yourself, Matthew for sure. So those are the people. You don't want to have too many, but you want to have a little diversity in the people that are helping you along the way.
All right, Pops, there's a question here for you that I want to bring up because I got one coming for me that's I would say it's a bit I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to avoid it today because it's been coming up a lot. But this one is for you, Pops. Can you see that?
Ooh,
Yeah,
respect.
so I kind of want you to. I didn't want to avoid that because you and I got a story we got to tell with when we were with the GB team,
The Czech Republic one.
the Czech Republic one. But it
Yeah,
also happened in I think it was it wasn't, was it Georgia?
Bosnia.
No, Bosnia too. But anyway,
Hungary. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Hungary. It was
we'll
Hungary.
get there with that story. But I want you to kind of talk about, the question is, Pops, did you see a lot of racism playing in Europe?
Man.
So yeah, go ahead. You played in Europe more than I have, so go ahead. And I think
Man.
just in general, not even just Europe.
Um, yeah, in Europe, I definitely ran into some harsh racism, and I never really understood how it came about because it was like I would play for one team, and then all of a sudden, if I had went to another team, the fans from the same team I used to play for, some of the things that they would say and do were shocking because when I played for them, I wasn't. They loved me. They was cheering and everything, and the fact that they could use some of the racial slurs and the things that they did were crazy. And I remember my boy Steven was talking about when they came to visit me in Turkey, we would walk around the malls, and there were times in Turkey, where people would come up to me and they had never seen a black person live. So they would come up to me and rub my skin to see if it would come off. And it was just shocking initially. And my teammate was like, "Yeah, man, this is Istanbul. This isn't like some far off place in Turkey. This is one of the biggest and densely most highly populated cities in the world." And they had never seen a black person live. Um, Man, when we would go into rival arenas, they would get batteries, spit on coins. They would heat up coins. They would throw little rocks, fruit, everything, and they while we're playing. So try to imagine, try to put yourself in a situation where you're playing a game, you're trying to focus on winning the game, and somebody's throwing a battery at you, or a coin that they've spit on, or spitting on at you. Man, I always tell people, especially NBA players, that you've never truly experienced fanatics or a real game until you've played in that element in Europe. And you got to see it for sure when we played in GB, and we was playing against the Czech Republic. And I remember I'm shooting a free throw, and it's a close game. I'm shooting a free throw, and I think I tied the game. And as I come back and they call a timeout, I go to the timeout, and Ron Wutilla hits me up and says, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Why not? Why wouldn't I be? I just hit a free throw." He was like, "Oh no, the fans." So I go back out there after the timeout, and I look up right before I shoot the ball. And when I tell you, everybody from men, women, children were doing like a monkey
Chant.
chant and making noises. Like it's the first time I had ever seen anything like that. And men, women, and children were doing it. And like some of the signs, luckily I didn't speak the language a lot of the time. I know some of these signs were racist and were against this, a lot of the black players. And I remember going back to the free throw line and hitting the free throw and just staring at the crowd. Like, now what? Like, this is what this monkey just did. And that was just one story. Like, just a story of what I told y'all when I got jumped in Italy. Those are our own fans that did that, and they were calling me racial slurs and everything. Like, so imagine the people that don't like me, or the fans that don't care for us. And so yeah, so that was tough. But you can tell the Hungary story.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what you're saying. It happened obviously in Czech Republic, like you said, and I couldn't believe it because I remember hearing the monkey chant, but at first I thought they were just booing us. And I remember in a huddle, uh, even guys just saying, "Yo, do you guys hear that?" And I remember I don't know, I was just so out of it. I was caught up in the game, and I remember looking in the crowd, and for some reason, I don't know why, this one kid, just my eyes just went right to the kid. and I saw the kid actually, you know, doing dancing like a monkey and just booing us or doing the monkey chant, and it hit me. It really hit me. And at that time, it's just, you know, there's two ways to go about it. There's a way to just feel like you're a victim and drop your head and kind of feel kind of like, you know, in a way as if it's a hate, but you don't belong there. But there's also a feeling of, you know, it's a smile, especially, you know, the way we were playing and you're winning, but there's a smile part of it that, you know, I'm not just playing a basketball game, I'm also black. You know, it's just, there's a unity sense of it. And to be honest with you, it uplifted me in a way where I think it brought us close as a team. Those guys in the team that, you know, weren't black, they felt closer to us, and they just, you know, they unite with you, and it kind of brings you together. So I think in a way it goes back to, you know, it's ignorant. It's something that is so stupid, but at the same time, it brings us together. The more that happens, the more, you know, we come together. But even with that being said, I always tell people, and a lot of people are going through it now, and we don't speak about it, but it's big in a lot of countries. I remember growing up in Egypt, and, you know, some people might not say it, but there's a lot of racism in Egypt, and it's towards the African communities. The South Sudanese community is large over there, and I've experienced it as a kid, 7, 8-year-old, where you're walking in the street and kids are chanting and running after you, and certain places you're not allowed in. Some people throwing rocks at you. It's really a serious problem that, you know, people that you get to know, and, you know, my friends, the Egyptians that we were close with, they understood it because they got to learn and got to know you as a human being. The other ignorant part is just stupidity and lack of knowledge. That's still, you know, huge in a lot of areas. So I'm glad that question was asked, and I'm glad we brought it up.
Just to speak to that, because it lines up with, you know, continually talking about my experiences as a pro overseas, but in regards to racism too. Funny story. I don't know if you were at the table at that time. I think you was practicing, but when the last NBA Africa game we had, when Thierry Henry came. Now I'm gonna make this disclaimer. I can't stand Arsenal with a passion. I cannot stand Arsenal with a passion.
I love it.
But if there's one player and one person that I rate and give respect to, is my man Thierry Henry. And he loves basketball. I remember when I played in Barcelona, he used to come watch us play and support us. And then he comes to the game in Africa, and he's sitting there and we're talking, and he's the most down-to-earth, coolest person I've met. And he's telling stories about how when he played at Arsenal, some of the racism that he had gotten from opposing fans. And I told him about, remember Sol Campbell? Sol Campbell was one of Tottenham's best players, and he was rated as one of the best defenders in the world. And at that time,
he found the light. Yeah.
No, stop! Don't do that. Don't do that.
Found the truth.
Don't do that. And then when he went from Tottenham and signed with Arsenal, and the way he did it.
Go on in.
When I tell you, I have never hated a man more so in my life than that day. But it wasn't until 2011 when I played for Besiktas in Turkey, and we won the league. We won all 3 titles there. We did a triple, and I resigned somewhere else. And I'm not going to generalize, because I love the fans in Turkey. They were great to us. They were great to me. It was just a few isolated situations and a few people who reacted that way. Like some of the stuff they were saying when we were leaving was insane to me. They was like, you're nothing but a black monkey, and I'm going to eat your firstborn or kill your firstborn. And, you know, when we find you have to understand, if I'm over there with my family at the time, that's alarming, because you don't know who these people are who are saying it. There's 25 million people in Istanbul. And just seeing how quickly it can go from being heralded to being hated was insane to me. And that moment in time, that's when I realized I was wrong when I was 10 years old for hating Sol Campbell for what he did, because now it came full circle of me being a professional athlete and I was riddled with the same decision. I had to go from one team and join their rival team, and the reasons why were unbeknownst to the masses, but I still had to do it, and people didn't understand. It just made me look. They made it seem like I was disloyal, and I just understood it more. And I wish I could go back to my 10-year-old self and be like, it's you can't hate this guy because we don't know the whole story. And although he's joining that crap team, it was probably the best decision for him and his family.
Yeah, I want to stay in that topic actually, but real quick, there's a great question that came up, and I have to bring it up.
Go ahead.
From Conley. I think it's appropriate right now because I'm Arsenal till I die. Listen, what we think of Tottenham? What we think of Tottenham?
Hey, though, you want to hear something funny? I get my haircut. I used to get my haircut in Highbury, right near Arsenal Stadium. The best barber in London, Slider Cuts, my man. And it was the day they were playing. It was Arsenal against Tottenham, but it was in Tottenham. I'm coming out of the barbershop and I walk past the pub, and all you hear is them chanting that song. And I'm like, I start to get offended because I bleed Tottenham through and through. From the day I was born to this day, I'm a big Tottenham fan. And
man, I feel bad for you.
I was in the right mind to run in there and be like, Arsenal wash. But then I was like, I'm all the way in Highbury.
I know what happened. They jumped you. See, this is what I mean by we need the true story of getting jumped, Pops. Man said he was just minding his own business, and they jumped him. I don't know.
Man jumped in my car and they jumped me, and then you got Kieran talking about I jumped 7 dudes. But yeah, man, that's funny, man, and it just opened my eyes to seeing sports as a young fan to being thrusted in there as an actual professional athlete and going through some of those similar things and totally understanding what those players were going through at the time.
Yeah. Hey, I'm jumping around, but there's some questions here because you were talking about teams and switching teams. So I'm looking at Kojo sent a question, but I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, right here. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I knew this was gonna come up, but I'm glad it coming up from Kojo. Obviously, Pops' brother. We're very close, and it's something that he feels like I gotta address. So I gotta talk about it. So it's basically the question is, since we're talking spicy, tell us about your thoughts on your whole Laker and Magic. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. So, after coming here to Miami, I felt like I was in a great situation. I love the organization, and I finally fitted in. And I remember my final year here, and when the free agency came after being here for 2 years, what people don't understand is, and I'm gonna be 100% honest. I remember when I was in Chicago, and I had a flu at the time during the playoffs against Brooklyn, and
I hope that's not the same time you're talking about when you were in the hospital.
Yeah.
That wasn't the flu when you had the spinal tap?
No. What it started off. It started off. So it started as a flu. I was taken to the hospital with other players. For some reason, the doctor decided that my condition was worse and he wanted to investigate more. Yeah. So everyone else went home and I stayed, and I had high fever, and they decided that they're going to do a spinal tap. At the time, I never heard of a spinal tap. And the doctor explanation at the time was, it's just a spinal tap. Women get it all the time, whatever, And if you don't know what a spinal tap is they go through your back and they take liquid from your brain to examine if you have any infection, right? So what happened with me was they performed the spinal tap, but you're supposed to rest when you get the spinal tap for a day or so. I wasn't told that, and we had a game the next day. So I went straight from the spinal tap, got in a car, and went straight to the gym. not even waiting for the result because I felt like, you know, we had a game tomorrow against Brooklyn. So I went and got the spinal tap, and I just, you know, nothing was followed up. And for the next few days, I just felt like, you know, the worst I've ever felt in my life. And I remember waking up one morning and, you know, I had to be rushed to the hospital. And I went to the hospital, and I was in the hospital, and still there was nothing addressed back. You know, all I got was, you know, we examined, you don't have meningitis. You don't have meningitis, you're good. You know, so I got up and I went to the stadium and tried to play. When I got there, I was so weak. I couldn't even, I had the worst migraines. I couldn't even see properly. And it got serious. So I was rushed back to the hospital from the stadium. I went back to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, luckily I had a friend of mine who was a doctor, and I just happened to call him. I called a friend of mine, got on a plane, and he flew to Chicago. When he got to me, he asked me what happened. And I explained to him what happened, and he's like, yo, you have a spinal leakage. I never knew what a spinal leakage is. And apparently my spinal tab wasn't closed properly because I never rest, so I was still leaking brain fluid the whole time. So again, I had to go back to be rushed for a second procedure. But this time when they went to draw my blood to close up the spinal tab, my temperature was too high. My red and white blood cells count wasn't right. So I had to wait a few days until everything was right to perform the surgery. So I was going through it. Finally, at first they didn't want to believe my doctor, my friend, saying that I need a surgery again to close the spinal tab. And believe it or not, I was getting phone calls to travel with the team, because we had one in Brooklyn, to travel with the team to go play the next game. And mind you, I was in a hospital, and at that time, I don't think the organization understood exactly how severe it was. So I'm getting phone calls on, you know, get up, get on a plane. We got a game. You know, you don't have a flu, you don't have this, you don't have that, but they didn't understand what I was going through. But anyway, this is going to lead to, so the next year I came back and I played, and this is the year I was traded. And that's a story for another day, but I came back. That year is I just came out of 2 years being an all-star. I'm performing, I'm trying to go back for a third time. At the time I was averaging 19.5 points. I get traded to Cleveland. The reason why I got traded was I was offered money by Chicago that I had to take, but I had 2 days to take that money for the contract. I was only given 2 days, and I felt like, yo, I've been here for 10 years. You're giving me 2 days to decide. You know, I'm not going to do it. And mind you, before that, in the summer, I tried to sign, but the talk was, let's wait for the end of the year. But I wanted to sign early. They're like, let's wait for the end of the year. When I started performing, I was gone. So I get sent away. I go to Cleveland. Anyway, I end up signing up with Miami. When I get to Miami as a free agent, I wanted to come back to Miami, but Miami did not have, you know, the offers that I was getting. The Lakers came, and the Lakers offered, you know, the money that I got offered was huge amount of money. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was huge money. The sit down was, you know, coming in, my role, this is what we're going to do. We're planning to go back into the playoffs. This is what's happening. When I got to LA, that was not the plan, and it was not what I was told. I was told that, you know, for a year, this was all new to me. I didn't understand at the time what tanking really is. You know, I was with Chicago. We tried to win every year when I was there. I was in Miami. We're making the playoffs. Miami's always trying to win. I get to LA, and it's time to go young and time to develop the young players. And I was told inside closed doors, this is going to be my role after I signed. So now I'm in LA, and this is my role. Obviously, you know, when you get the money that you're getting, fans, is what you're saying about Sol Campbell earlier. Fans don't understand what's really happening. The organization, the whole plan was not to win. You know, let's be straightforward. It was not to win. But where do you start pointing fingers at who's making the most money? So, you know, it started coming back to me, and it was, okay, it's either I take this way or I take this way. But in reality, at the end of the day, I'm getting paid all this money. So I felt like, who am I to complain at this point? And the plan was, okay, this is what we're going to do for a year, and next year, this is what's going to happen. I come back the next year, and I was told right away, I came in, I was ready to go. I was told right away, we're going to do it for another year. And I was like, what are we going to do? And this was the team's plan. This is what you're going to do. So me being me, I was like, yo, I got to handle it the right way and get out of here. But it was obviously difficult with the money that you're getting and everything. And at this time, I've been in the league for 15 years, you know? So for me, I looked at it as a blessing. And again, it's turning negative into positive. And I'm like, this could be happening to me while not signing this paycheck. And when I think back of 15 years in the NBA and everything that I went through, from playing with surgeries, going to the hospital, playing, for a month and a half with a fracture on my tibia, and all that stuff, I started to think like, yo, this is a blessing from God. And, it could have happened, and it happens to a lot of players, and it happens in a way worse situation. So for me, I look back and I'm like, yo, thank you. I'm happy. It gave me time. I was sitting down, working out, getting paid, and watching games. Did I want to play? Yes. I kept working and I was ready, but I had a mindset of it's a blessing. I didn't have a mindset of hate or mad at anyone. And I was willing to take the criticism or whatever anyone says, but I know how much I put in the game, and I know how much I love the game. I didn't write the story to go that way, but at the same time, when it's presented to you that way, you got to approach it in a way where you're going to come out successful, and you're going to come out, looking better than the whole situation is, Until now, I would never say anything bad about anyone from that organization. I would never say anything bad about the organization, but everyone that was in that locker room, from players to coaches to staff to trainers, I was in there every day before everyone. I was getting my work in. I was lifting. I never skipped a day. And I still worked out with my trainer. My trainer was there. We were lifting. I was getting shots up. I never shortcutted anything. I was ready. But at the same time, I was very happy and I was very thankful, because it gave me an opportunity to do a lot of things right now that if that call never came and that offer never came, I would be in a different situation with what I'm doing with my money. So it gave me a different perspective,
Man, that's crazy that you say that, because I was scouting at the time, and I remember that occurrence going on. Obviously, I'm hearing firsthand from you what's happening and everything that's going on. And I often use your approach to that time, and we've got 5 minutes, so obviously we're going to have to, in a few minutes, sign on and sign back off, sign off and sign back on to continue.
Sign back on?
We have to. We haven't even gotten to finish what we're talking about.
Man's hungry, and plus my back's sore, bro. I got to stretch. Nah.
From what? You're not lifting? What's your back sore from, bro?
I was getting my pops on. What you talking about? Hey, I'm coming. Hey, listen, I'm coming out of this quarantine, right? You talking about? Hey, I'm coming out correct.
Right. Nah. So, I remember using your approach and your professionalism during that time as an example. I was like, you would have been well within your rights to not have been professional, to have been a cancer in the locker room, to have been a bad apple, but you decided to go above that and go high. You was still inspiring and empowering your younger teammates and giving them the leadership and the veteran leadership that they needed. So, to the most of us who probably would have reacted emotionally and done things. Well, what's up, Charlie?
No, my bad, Charlie.
I see him. For the most people, including me, and I have a story similar to that, where we would have just acted emotional and just led with our heart. You still, was like, I'm professional. I'm still representing more than myself here. I got my family, my country, the continent, and still decided to go about things the right way, coming in early, working out, supporting your teammates and just being there. Like, that speaks volumes to who you are. And what's it called? Speaking of a similar story, when I was playing in Russia, I was in Toronto, and it was my second year in Toronto. And I remember, here's a story about getting waived and cut. So hopefully I don't forget. So I'm gonna tell the story about when I got cut from Toronto, which led to me going to Russia, and then I'll tell the part about when I threatened to kill everybody in Russia. Don't ask me why, but that's another situation.
Hey,
So
just quickly before you get into that, we got 4 minutes.
so you might as well sign on and sign back off.
Yeah, but my question is, when I sign off and sign back on, I got some questions here. They're gonna be gone. Do they need to ask? Do they need to ask those questions again?
Yeah, everybody who really wants those questions answered, when we sign back on, we're gonna finish up these last couple stories and then just start answering some questions in regards to NBA and our pro career. Because you have to understand, we have other episodes that we're gonna be doing on live, and we're gonna address a lot of the stuff that you're already asking. So if you have questions pertaining to today's current topic, that would be great. So he's gonna sign off, and then sign back on, and we will continue.
Yeah, look, it's
We'll need to ask
3:57.
questions again. Yes.
It's 3:57 right now. Give me 3 minutes. Let me just stretch my back real quick.
Yes.
We'll be back at exactly 4 o'clock. And I see Courtney. Courtney's coming in here, starting conversation. Yo, just text you coming in here. Yo, what's going on, Charlie? Just text Charlie, man. We in here doing. Man's asking questions. I see talking to Charlie in the chat. Just text him. But anyway, all right. We're back at 4. We'll be back at 4 o'clock.
All right.
Hey, Luol Mayandi.
There you go. That's on his back.
Hey, man. I'm getting good with this. Don't even take time.
Why does it not work before I come on, though? I don't understand.
What you mean?
I couldn't hear your sound before.
Stop it, for real.
I swear, it was silent, bro.
I don't know, man. I really don't know why. But why would it do that? Why is it silent when I'm on? So if I go live solo right now, it would be quiet.
Yeah, basically, I'm guessing it's because I'm the only one that has a phone that was made in the last 2 years. So, I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is over there.
Your team was made in the last 2 years.
But yeah, hold up.
You got questions?
No, I was going to tell. I'm telling the story about, you told a story about your whole Lakers experience, and I was going to tell the one about how my time in Toronto ended, and I can't say that it was totally related to the story that I'm about to tell, but it opened my eyes, especially now as an executive, to how players conduct themselves and how it can lead or burn a bridge, or even have a wrong says something wrong about your negative about your character. So I go through it's my first year in Toronto, actually. I have to see probably my best season as an NBA player. I'm fan favorite, 6-man there, and summertime, free agency. I remember finishing my workout, and I'm at Fridays right on GW campus, and I'm sitting there by myself. And I remember a couple of weeks before, Twitter had just, I'm aging myself now, but Twitter had just come about, and nobody really knew what was going on with this social media thing, whatever. We only really had Facebook when we was coming up. And now Twitter came about. My agent had created a Twitter account for me, and I didn't really care for or want to use it. But so I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and 12 o'clock again, that famous time, 12 p.m. was going to determine whether I was going back to Toronto or they were going to sign me or not. Sitting there, and it's like 11:45, and I'm eating by myself. And I pick up my phone. I was like, you know what? Let me see what this Twitter thing is all about. And I remember tweeting simply, "Let's see if they're smart." That's it. That's all I tweeted. Didn't say who, didn't say what, when, how, and I just left it at that. I'm eating, and about 10, 15 minutes later, I just see across the ESPN ticker, and it says, the Toronto Raptors signed Hedo Turkoglu, Amir Johnson, Reggie Evans, and Rashawn Ostorovich, they signed 4 players that are all the same position as me, and making me, and then it said making Pops Mensah-Bonsu an unrestricted free agent. Now, I was a journeyman in the NBA. There was no way me being on the free agent market was gonna warrant any type of traction. So now I'm without a job, and this was during the European Championships. So I can't join the national team until I've signed a contract, because I could get hurt and then not have a contract, so I wouldn't be able to play. And then I ended up signing with the Rockets. Oh no, I signed with the Rockets just to go to camp. So I had to make that team. So, mind you, this is the back of my head the whole time we're playing in the European Championships. And I think you were hurt that summer. You didn't come that summer. And I called my agent, and I'm like disappointed that I go from being a featured player on this team in Toronto and to now having to make a team. And he calls me, and he was like, the GM called him and says, that's how smart we are. And this is 2008 or 9. They wasn't really monitoring social media accounts back then, but obviously they were, because he referenced it to that tweet that I sent. Yeah. And it just dawned on me. And I remember they told us as rookies, never respond to media, social media interviews with your heart. Never, always respond with your mind and your brain, and always look at things where, knowing that people are judging you and people are watching you. So I leave Toronto and I end up going to Russia. Into Moscow, playing for CSKA Moscow, and I get there and I'm thinking, okay, I came from Toronto and I'm joining this team in Europe. I'm going to start and I'm going to shift my mindset. I'm trying to help take this team to the Euroleague Final Four. I get there and I start like the first game and play, and we play well, we win. And then my minutes just start going up and down. And mind you, my career in Europe was totally different from my career in the NBA. Like I said, I was usually anywhere from the 6th to the 15th man on an NBA team. And in Europe, it's the opposite. I was a little bit more featured. There was teams where the offense wouldn't operate unless I touched the ball. And, when I went to Moscow, this was probably one of the most talented teams I had played on in Europe. I played with Trajan Langdon. I played with a couple other guys who were Russian that had played in the NBA, J.R. Holden, who is a scout for Brooklyn now and probably has the most storied European career of any American. And I'm on that team. And mind you, it's the most money I ever made as a professional athlete. And I hated it. And this is why I hated it. I was in a country that I was unfamiliar with, that was cold, it was snowing, and I'm on a team where I felt and knew that I should be playing. And I felt that I should be playing a lot. And I remember I was with Houston briefly prior to that, and I get an email. My agent tells me, hey, Houston used to have only 9 active players, and they want to re-sign you because they only have 9 players on roster that can play. So I go, he sends the email to the GM, and like a week, 10 days goes by, and I don't hear anything. So I come to practice early, and I speak to the coach, and I speak to the president and the GM, and say, hey, there's a couple teams. And as soon as I said a couple teams, he's like, EuroLeague teams? And I said, no, NBA teams that want to sign me. And mind you, to that point, there was maybe, if we had played 10 games, I had 4 or 5 DNPs. DNPs in Europe, not in the NBA where I'm playing behind Chris Bosh or Andrea Bargnani or Dirk. I'm playing behind guys who I feel like not only I'm on the same level as, but I'm better than, like hands down. And like, I'm just miserable. I'm like, how am I over here in Russia and I'm not getting any playing time? So I go to the coach and tell him, hey, I still feel like you guys are going to go to the EuroLeague Final Four with or without my input. There's been 3 games where I haven't had DNPs, and I have to reference this. The reason why I was getting DNPs because if I played the last 5 minutes of the game, I was so angry and so determined that I would still end up with a double-double in 5 minutes. So the media and everybody else started getting on the coach. Like, you have this guy on the bench who in 5-7 minutes has a double-double, but you don't play him any other part of the game. Mind you, the guy who was playing in front of DNPs mean did not play. That's what DNPs mean. For everybody out there who doesn't know what DNP means, it means did not play. So there were games where I wasn't getting in the game at all. So I probably didn't even have to shower because I didn't break a sweat. And so the guy who was playing in front of me was the captain not only of the Russian national team, but the captain of of the team that I was on. And that's the guy who I felt like I was hands down better than. So I go to the GM, the president, and the coach and tell them, hey, I would like to go and join the Houston Rockets. And I remember she was like, okay, we'll let you know our response. And my agent forwarded me the email that they sent to him. And it just said, and I think she increased the font too. It said in big letters, N.O., regards. And that was it. When I tell you I flipped the table on my part, I lost it. Man, practice was at 5. I might have gotten to the gym at 2:30. I got to the gym 2 hours before practice. No, brother plays in Russia. I was the only one. I got to the gym 2 hours before practice working on my game. And my teammate, JR, comes in, and he's like, yo, what you doing? I was like, look, today's going to be – remember when Kevin Hart said it's about to go down? That's exactly what I said to my team. I was like, yo, get a good seat because it's about to be special today. He's like, if we on the same team, we about to go hard. I'm about to work on my game on these fools. And I remember we were playing the game, and the guy who, like I said, I was competing for a spot with, the ball went out, and it hit my leg. But the coach didn't see it. The coach said, come on, Kieran, man, I'm trying to talk over here, dog. The coach didn't see it and gave the ball back to my team. And, you know, as a competitor, guys are like, oh, yeah, whatever. He gave us the ball. I know it's not ours, so I'm going to keep going. And I was like, you know what? Just because I knew that they couldn't compete with us, I was like, I don't need to say that. I don't need to cheat to beat this team. So I told the coach, nah, coach, the ball came off me. And the guy was like, I don't need your gifts. And opens his hands. First of all, these stories I tell are going to make me sound crazy. Just to let everybody know, I'm not crazy. On the court, I was very emotional and very animated, but I'm not. I'm very in tune.
Enters Kieran.
And enters Kieran, right? So he opens his arms, and mind you, I've got all this pent up aggression towards the organization, towards the fact that I'm not playing, towards this player who I'm playing behind, who I feel like can't compete with. And he's like, yo, you want to dance? So I'm like, oh, I've been waiting for this. So I start walking towards him.
Is this the clip they have of you chasing down someone?
No, that's another story. That's another story.
That's also related for you not being crazy.
These are all isolated situations.
It's so many stories. Yo, I saw Stanley say crazy people always say they're not crazy.
But and so he opens his hands to me, and I'm like, oh, I've been waiting for this. So I start walking towards him, and obviously teammates getting between us and everything. And you know how the classic move where you got 4 or 5 people in between you, and you're about to have a fight, and then the other person gets real animated, like, what you want to do? Let's go. Come on, let's fight. And I'm like, oh, you really trying to dance? So I calm down. I calm down. And my teammate, JR, I wish he was in the chat the other day. I wish he was here today. And I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. You know exactly where I sit. And I just start walking to the locker room. Meet me in the locker room. And I just start walking. I was like, I'm not going to do that hold me back and this other kind of stuff. I was like, if we really want to dance, you know where to find me. Follow me downstairs. So I walk, and my teammate runs after me. He's like, yo, you bugging. You're a black man in Moscow, and you put hands on another Russian, you will be missing out here. So, and then I'm like, and I look back, and it's me and my teammate, my homeboy JR, and the whole team and the whole organization just looking at us, and they're like, man, just get out. And I just see red, and I start tripping. And I was like, man, this is some BS, man. I could be playing back in the NBA. Y'all not playing me here. Y'all said no to the Rockets, man. This is some big, man. I'll kill everybody in here. And I lie to you not, never in my life have I ever said or used a term like that. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, damn. You're going to pay for this one. I said I'd kill everybody in the gym. And I just walked out.
In Russia, you know.
In Russia. Man. Nah, and it just goes to show that how the people handle situations differently. I was younger. I was emotional. I felt like I should be playing just like you did in LA. And I was professional to an extent. Then all of a sudden, it just, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was just like, you know what? Anybody comes towards me, I'm swinging. and that's what it was. But, that's just one instance of, how to handle a situation and how not to handle a situation.
Yeah. I put, this kind of relates to what you're talking about. So I put that question up there. You could just continue and answer it. You could go with it. It just says, yo, does everyone see the question?
Yeah.
So why didn't you tell me that? I thought,
Because I was still finishing my answer. How you going to put the question up as I'm, shut up, Kieran.
No, because I was being smooth with it. Like it connected with what you were talking about. It just went with it. It just went with it because you're telling the stories, and this question's kind of, because you went through it. You know what I mean? And this questions is perfect for it.
So yeah. So you say you want me to finish?
Yeah. So go ahead. Have you been tested almost
for sure?
Quitting?
Like I said, I've had 11 surgeries over the course of my career, and I could tell a number of different stories that stick out in regards to wanting to quit. But I think the biggest one for me was I get hurt in 2011 when I dislocate my shoulder and have to rehab back to be ready for the Olympics. Get back, best shape of my life. MVP of the Turkish League, we win all the championships, and we go to Houston, meet the GB team, and we're working out, and we have a good pre-Olympic campaign. We play against the USA, we play against Russia, Nigeria, a bunch of these teams, and I literally felt like the best shape in my life. I had just had the best season of my career to date, and now I'm in the best shape of my life going into the biggest moment of my career, playing in the Olympics 15 minutes from where I grew up. And literally, I'm thinking to myself and thanking God that everything is going the right way for me at the right time. And so we get to the Olympics, and obviously it's going to be an uphill battle because our group was tough, but we, I know for you for sure. Speaking to you, we were confident that if we played well, we could make some noise. And I remember the first game we played against Russia. It was a tough battle. And that game was really personal for me because half that team were my teammates in Moscow. So I was going into that situation trying to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And so we played that game, then we played Brazil. And I remember we're keeping up with Brazil, we're competing, we're playing well. And I remember something happens and my knee gets hit. But I feel like a pinched nerve or pinched something in my knee, and I don't know what it is. After the game, I couldn't really bend my knee, but I didn't say nothing. And we played against Spain. Mind you, I don't know, I had 2 solid games against Russia and Brazil. Then we played against Spain, and we lose by 1, and I had 2 points and 1 rebound. And that's when I realized that. And I've never told anybody from GB this, but I was hurt in the Brazil game. But I didn't say nothing because I was like, this is the Olympics. I don't have time to be hurt. So I'm hurt in the Brazil game, and we go into the Spain game. And if you look at the pictures, that's the first game I started wearing a knee sleeve because my knee was messed up. And I play, and I have 2 points and 1 rebound, and we lose by 1 point to the reigning silver medalist and the soon-to-be silver medalist again. And I remember after the game, I'm just like, everybody's disappointed. I know, and I'm thinking to myself, Lou's probably going to be looking at me crazy. We have this opportunity to beat, one of the, the best teams in the world, and you have 2 points and 1 rebound. And I was just mortified. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to play any more games because my knee was just jacked up. And I remember walking out, seeing my parents, and I just started crying. Right there in their arms because, you work so hard to get to a point, and to have it taken away just like that, and knowing that we could beat Australia, beat China, and still make it to the qualifying rounds, I'm like, why me? And right after the Olympics and stuff, I remember telling my brother and my fiance that I was going to retire. I was done. And
that was your moment.
Yeah, it was my moment. I'm done. I quit. I worked too hard to do this. I can't have another surgery. It was probably gonna be like surgery number 10 at the time. No, that was surgery number 11. I'm sorry. And I was like, why does this keep happening to me? Not only did I question my love for the game and question Quentin, but I questioned my faith in general. I was like, that's not fair. Why does these things keep happening to me? Like, I feel like I'm a good person and I feel like I do right by people. These things shouldn't happen to those type of people. And I just questioned everything in my life, period. I had a big deal on the table in Europe, and I was like, I'm done. I don't care about the money. I don't want to play basketball anymore. I remember telling my brother and him looking at me like, what? And I was like, I'm done. I don't want to play basketball anymore. And that's another time when I thought to myself, it's more difficult for me to quit than it is to keep going.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. I remember right after that, you know, me, Kieran, some of the guys in the team, we went to Nando's and we saw you sitting in the corner by yourself eating all the whole damn chicken. Didn't even offer. And I was looking at the lemon and herb like, yo.
Oh man.
Yo, me and Kieran are like, yo, you think he's gonna offer? Nah, I'm kidding, but I think we didn't. I mean, we didn't say anything, but we knew you were hurt, man. I think we all appreciated the fact that you were playing through it. It was crazy that you were even trying to play through it, but that's how much the Olympic meant to you, how much the Olympics meant to us, and I know we're going to talk about that in next time. Because there's a lot to talk about, just the Olympics and what it took to get to the Olympics. A lot of people think we were allowed to play in the Olympics just because we hosted, but that's not the case. And where British basketball was when we joined the national team, and you know how many years it took to get to that level, the commitment every summer. I even had, you know, the Bulls owner and Bulls, you know, front office tell me not to go play, and I still went back every summer because I believed in it. And you know, we could cover all that next time for sure.
Right. But sorry, I just want to reference something before you go. I just want to make sure people.
Who said I was going?
I didn't know if you was going to comment again. I didn't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure to.
We ain't even.
I have it somewhere. You lucky I can't.
What? Did you ask what's in my hand?
No, I didn't. I didn't actually.
Okay. All right.
It's probably. I hope it's cold. What's it called? No. Somebody asked me if I meant to say it's harder to keep going than it is to quit. No, I meant it's harder for me to quit than it is to keep going. Every time I've thought about stopping and quitting and giving the game up, I think about why I play basketball. I think about why I've put so much into my craft, and it was more difficult for me to stop playing. And that's why I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's going to be a difficult path to rehab your knee again and come back and play. And I was like, but it's just a process. A step forward is still a step in the right direction. So
before we go to the next question too, I think just to add into that, I definitely agree with you on that. For me, I just never. It's weird, man, because I never, and I think a lot of players are, you know, when you love the game, I don't think you think about quitting until maybe when you ain't performing the way you want to perform. I don't think I went through scenarios where I felt like quitting. I always felt like I belonged somewhere else when I didn't like the situation. But I've never really questioned my game or my work ethic or my drive. I just felt like maybe that person doesn't understand me or the situation is not for me. But I always felt like I'll thrive somewhere else. And that's even a bigger motivation to even go harder. So, you know, when it's not working in one place, I automatically just program myself to say, yo, I can't wait till I'm somewhere else to show you that, you know, that I can do it. So the game I never really thought about quitting. I just thought about proving the situation or proving that person wrong. If I went, you know, when I went through injuries and I wasn't performing the way I was always thinking, yo, just wait till I'm healthy. And I'm going to show, you know, that was definitely the injury. It wasn't me playing or someone not playing me minutes. It was like, yo, just wait till I get the right coach or I'm in the right situation or wait till this organization believe in me. So I never really wanted to quit what I'm doing. I wanted to change scenarios and change the situation. That's how I always felt about that part.
That's great. I think I know somebody else had asked the question earlier about motivation and how do we channel that, and how do we, as professionals, how we handle those negative times. And I think for me, if you just see the way I played, all of that was pain. That was me releasing the pain and harnessing my aggression. And when I say harnessing my aggression, whenever I got cut, whenever I didn't get any chance to play, whenever a team didn't want to sign me or something, I bottled that all up. I bottled it all in. And then when I got on the court, I released it. Yeah. I released it and took it out on everybody and on all my opponents. And so I had people playing against me like, yo, why are you so angry? And I was like, man, because it's pain. This is pain. This is 400 years of pain. This is pain that I've gone through to get this far and to still be knocked down. So I remember watching Remember the Titans, and Denzel said something about, you got all this pent up aggression and you're not using it the right way. You got to harness that aggression. And from that day forward, I would always use, a bad call. I would always use just something to motivate me. It didn't take that much for me to get motivated. It didn't take much for me to get motivated. But when you gave me something to add fuel to my fire, it was easy, and it was done after that.
That's I got a lot of questions here, so I want to just throw, for everyone that's sending me questions, it's really a lot of good questions. I'm just trying to bring up the questions that are not just for Pops or not just for me, just questions that we both could relate to.
Hey, Henry, leave me alone, dog.
But here's another one for you, Pops. This one, I know you could see it, but I think we spoke about it a little bit. It's a longer message, so let me try to see it. It just says, 8 years into your professional career, what decisions did you make to sustain your health and performance on the court? I don't know if you could see the whole question, but that's basically the question. Yeah, so tell us, especially, not everyone is going to play 8 years basketball. If you play, that's a blessing for that many years. But in any profession, I think you keep on improving and you add things to your game. So, for you, you spoke a lot about injuries and setback and everything. What did you learn, or what did you add into your career that, necessarily not just making shots, but improving yourself in order to perform better or to be better after that many years?
So for us as professional athletes, our business is our body. So I always, yes, I'm a big Spurs fan. I'm sorry. I just had to address that. Yes, I'm a big-time Spurs fan.
That's not even anywhere. I can't even.
I'm sorry.
See
somebody
it.
just wrote it. I'm sorry.
Nobody wrote that. You just wanted
somebody
to say
did just write it.
for no reason.
It's Manny's IG.
What?
That's not even a real cup. Anyway.
Yo, you could tell I had this cup for a long time. But yo, don't try to go out and buy a Spurs cup for our next episode, because I know you don't have one. So
no, I've got a scarf. I've got a scarf, and I'm gonna wear it the whole episode.
It's a mug, bro. You get me? It's a mug.
So for me, I started investing in my body, and I remember, you know what led to that, and what was the catalyst? The year I got cut from Toronto, then I go to Russia, and that whole situation happens. And then we have that summer, which we're going to speak about in the next episode, in GB, when we played against, I know HoopsFix just released the highlights and the videos of the European qualifiers, when we were playing against Bosnia, Macedonia, Hungary, and a couple other teams, and we won the group. So I remember being so motivated at the time, going into it, that I did not, normally after seasons you take a couple weeks off to let your body recover. As soon as I got back to the USA, I went straight to training. I started boxing. I started doing hot Pilates. I started lifting. Like, this is what my day consisted of. And I know somebody else asked this question. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., go to hot Pilates at 6, about 30 minutes away. I would drive to Silver Spring to go boxing, Maryland, to do boxing training. And I know Kieran's going to make a joke, but I did it to get
but we know why you
get in shape. I never threw a punch. All I did was the conditioning part.
It's self-defense. Them people out there crazy, just jumping. Self-defense.
Yeah, so I did that, then I'd go to the court. I'd go to the court and do drills for an hour, and then we'd play pickup. And that was my whole day. And I did that for a whole summer until we joined the GB team. And so those are the kind of things I did. Like I changed my diet. Like I only drank water. If I drank anything other than water, I made it. If it was, there was a year I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol, and I would only, if I make juice, I would get some pineapples and some coconut water and mix it myself.
What year was this?
This was from 2011 onwards.
Yeah.
So after what happened to me in 2010. Yo, can you block Kieran from the chat, please? Can you block him from this?
Huh?
Block Kieran from making comments.
Nah, man. Listen, we need Kieran. He keeps. Listen, Kieran knows you better than most people.
Right. So he's only mad because when we was at Duquesne, when he was in school, we played against each other. I wouldn't call it playing because I don't know what he was doing. I was just dunking all over them, and that's not his fault. He was on the opposing team, so I get his aggression. But shout out to my man Steven. I gave up red meat too. I gave up red meat, didn't drink alcohol, limited my sugars, and just started investing in my body. And literally, barring getting hurt in the Olympics, those are some of the best seasons I ever had. So those are the kind of things I did to continue my career.
You gave up Jack?
When I wasn't drinking anything. I was drinking. The only time I drink Jack is when I was with you.
What are you talking about? For everyone out there, I don't drink. I don't know what he's talking about. Hey, listen. Hey, but before I jump into the next question, for me, honestly, I think I had to do a lot. I didn't want to get hurt, obviously. I've learned a lot through the game. But I used to go to, I think, Pops, you remember when you were in Chicago, I used to go to EFT in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I started going there because I felt like just, understanding where you thrive, your environment that you thrive. I went to EFT and I felt like a little tight community, a family atmosphere. So I started going there because I felt that everyone that worked there was trying to better me. At the time, Elias, I spent a lot of time with my trainer there. At the time was Elias, before Jacob arrived to EFT. And, Elias was working with me on my weaknesses because I've always played the game. I just never really did the extra stuff. I just wanted to be in the gym, get shots up, work on my ball handling, drive, whatever. But I wasn't really focused on, let me focus on other parts that could make me better when I'm not on the court. So I started focusing on that. And, when I first got in the league, the first thing that my agent helped me do was get a chef. And again, it goes back to being young, being drafted at 19. I didn't know what's good for me in terms when it comes to eating and habits and everything. But, when I got drafted, I got a paycheck that, was a lot of money. I never had that much before, and I could be creative and do a lot of things that will give back to me. And, we sat down with my agent and I ended up hiring a chef. Until today, I still, Dale's still with me. We went through thick and thin together. And he helped me so much with my career that everything that I gave him, I can't even say, it doesn't even come close to how much he took care of me and my body to be able to play for 15 years. Right. So definitely, it's a lot of things that you got to do, especially when you become a professional, that you could learn in order to stay healthy and to better yourself and to better your game. And, not just as an athlete, but just being healthy in general, knowing what's good for your body and what's not is really important.
Yeah.
I want to jump into, do you have anything you want to bring up before I jump into another question?
Here's a good one, because I know we spoke about it at the beginning.
Wait, so this whole time you have questions too?
I told you, Lou, we have a live document that we all share.
So you see the stuff that I'm seeing?
No, we have a live document with Benny, Benson, you, and myself.
I am.
You just don't have a laptop.
No, I accessed it today, and
right, and that's how I'm getting up to date information from Benny and Benson.
I thought we were doing it off the question mark thing that's under here.
Yeah, that's how you can see it because you're controlling the live. So you're
So
controlling
I'm
the live.
saying, so that's my question. So is that thing part of that thing?
No, this thing is what people are saying currently. So currently they're asking us these questions, and because you control the live, you're the one that can put the questions to the forefront. And you know what? Shout out to my to Bozema St. John for joining. I know she gave me the idea about the questions and question marks and stuff. So big shout out to the best marketing CMO in the world, literally.
Marketing what?
She's a CMO of WME.
Oh, that's what's up.
Right,
That's what's
right,
up. Shout out. Thanks for letting Pops know about the question mark.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So what were you gonna ask? Oh no, I'm sorry. Last time I spoke about what I did with my first paycheck. And I remember CJ McCollum came on his podcast and said he realized he noticed that a lot of players are living check to check, and how is that possible? What's crazy is when I was I'm not even gonna mention the team, but I remember sitting in the locker room and guys were coming in and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's the 1st, it's the 15th." I was like, I don't understand why you're so excited. We make a good amount of money. One check shouldn't, make or break you. And it dawned on me that a lot of players were living check to check in the NBA. Now, shout out to everybody who is, working hard and is working, has to work check to check, especially in this time, to just make ends meet. It was so hard for me to fathom that in the NBA, all the money that guys can make, they would still be living check to check. And that's what scared me, and that's what was crazy. And that's literally one of the first years after the incident happened with my advance check that I started living off of less than I made, because I knew when I retired, the lifestyle, if I live a certain lifestyle when I play, when I retire, I can just seamlessly walk into the rest of my life and not have to live a certain way, because as as athletes, our earning capacity is finite. So, for 10 or 15 years, you're going to make this kind of money. And then when you retire, I'm 36 now. I retired at 32, 33. I have another half of my life to live. And if I can't maintain the lifestyle that I had as a player, what was I going to do? So I just started changing my my mindset and how to live. I started living real below my means, so that when I retired, it was easy for me to make that transition.
Yeah. Now I gotta to add into that. There's two ways I look at it, honestly, and I just want to shout out the MBPA now because for me coming in the league, I've seen it change where more things were done to let players understand and be aware of their money. Honestly, when I came in the league, and I always say this, I didn't understand money. You're coming in at a young
Right.
age, and there's a lot of people that don't understand money or how to take care of money. And a lot of times, we see let's talk about players that went broke. Let's talk about players that are struggling. Let's talk about, people love to see their stories, and we don't share that much the successful stories so we could copycat it and figure out, how did they do it and learn from it. So that was lacking for a while, where we weren't teaching, or we're not teaching players how to take care of their money, and we expect them just to learn. First of all, it's very difficult, not just for the players, but for human beings when they're successful or when they're being handed something, to actually know how to take care of it. You're hyped, you're excited, you think it's going to keep coming, and not understanding how to take care of something. A lot of times players are looked up on as if it's totally their fault. Don't get me wrong, go out there and get the research, but it also helps when you put things in order for them to understand. And if I don't know, if I've never seen a lizard swim, then I don't know an iguana or a lizard could swim. And I'm saying that because the other day I seen my iguana doing backstrokes in my pool. So I learned, but we're saying that you start to understand, like, coming in the league, a lot of players don't know money. When I came in, I didn't know money. I really didn't know, and I didn't think you can lose $1 million. You could lose that real quick unless someone teaches you that there's ways to actually make that money work for you. There's different ways of doing it. that. And I think the NBPA now is doing a way better job. You know, me coming in the summer with Dave Groves, shout out to Dave, and us putting together a real estate forum class to teach, you know, players and, you know, guys how to be involved in real estate. Those are the classes that NBA is doing now. I know Iguodala is doing stuff with tech and so on, but those weren't there before. Before we were just told so-and-so went broke, and you were told how they went broke. And then you came in and you're like, okay, this guy went broke from gambling. Guess what? I'm not going to gamble. But the problem is there's many other ways of going broke. There's you know what I mean? But then when you bring someone who's successful and you tell me, yo, this guy made money going into real estate, guess what? I could just go into real estate and learn his steps and learn from that. And that's a way to get rich. You know what I mean? A way to make your money work for you. So, you know, so definitely that's a great question, and I'm glad it came up. But there's many ways that, you know, we're improving that stuff.
And that's funny you say that, because definitely shout outs to the NBPA, Michelle Roberts, and everybody over there who is changing the narrative on players and how they, you know, taking control of their careers on and off the court. And, you know, obviously I have an affinity for them because I used to work there, and it was my first job after I retired. And, you know, I absolutely loved it there, and definitely, you know, appreciate my time there and the people there, because, they're working and fighting for the players, especially during this this difficult time.
Okay, no, that's great. There's a lot of questions, Pops, but I think, you know, it's a lot of questions about pretty much our next topic. You know, I think this really was to cover being a pro and our years in the NBA, your years in Europe. You know, I don't really want to jump the gun and go into our next topic, but just to let people know, next topic, what are we focusing on? You have the live. You have the live that
I'm gonna let everybody know. Lou, myself, and my brother, we speak pretty much every other day about what we're going to talk about. He always acts like he's not involved, doesn't understand what's going on.
And you're always on North London time, where you keep showing up late to every phone call.
Everything. I was sitting there. Your Metro PCS phone wasn't working, and now everybody's blaming me that I was late. But whatever, it's all good. What's it called? The next episode is going to be talking about GB and Olympic experience. So if anybody has any questions in regards to that, apologies if we don't reference it or answer those questions now, because we're going to come to that point on the next episode, which is Monday. So I see a great question here, and I think it only happened a couple times due to injuries. But someone says, do we have any memories playing against each other in the NBA?
Well, are you asking me, or you were going to tell me?
No, I'm asking the other person on the chat.
No, I think one of my best memories, I think, is when you played us. I didn't play in the game, but you played against the Bulls when you were in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And I think, to me, that was one of those moments where it hits you. You know, you're proud of your brother for, you know, not only seeing you in the UK growing up together, but also in high school, playing in the JV, and how embarrassed you were. And, you know, now here you are. And it's crazy because as much as I wanted us to win the game, I was cheering for you. And it's one of those things that, you know, you just remember. And I remember the highlights and everything. And I remember the next day as a team, I told you this, as a team, we were watching the tape. And, you know, one thing I'll tell you about the NBA, when you have a good game and, you know, you guys are about to watch tape the next day as a team, you walk in that locker room differently, man. Yeah. you walk in there like, you walk in there looking left and right, like, 2012, you know, just, you know, you walk in there like, I ain't let no one down. But when you have a bad game and you walk into that video session, you just hope that, you know, they didn't get that highlight where, they didn't show, you know, how many shots you missed, or, you know, defensively someone was just torturing you. So, you know, we walk in and we're watching the tape, and I remember, you know, you just dunk in and it was just your highlights, you know, and everyone's like, yo, isn't that your boy? And I'm sitting there like, yo. I'm sitting there like, man, y'all should have just forced him left, man. Like, you know?
Or like Kieran says, forced me to shoot a jump shot. But what's funny is the same thing happened to me. because I think we played against each other, and I'm not going to mention which team I was on because you're not supposed to do this. But I remember we played, and I didn't get to play that game. So I'm just sitting there watching, and I did this, and Cole, my brother, just commented, but I did this with something LeBron did too. So we're playing, and you had a good game and killed us too. And the whole time, I'm rooting for you to kill. More so because I'm not getting in the game, but my boy's out there killing, and I'm like, hell yeah, go on, get the button. And every time you scored, I'm like, told y'all, man, y'all ain't listening, man. My man can do this, man. Respect my man. And what's it called? To the LeBron story, I remember sitting there. I was a rookie in Dallas, and this is actually, it's probably not anymore, but I remember they had like LeBron's top 10 dunks, and this was one of them. He was one of the games I got to dress. I don't think I played this game, but he goes baseline on Josh Howard and Sagana. You know Sagana. Shout out to Sagana Jock. He jumps and he's like 7'1" and covers the whole basket. I'm saying there's no way LeBron can go over this dude and dunk it. So he's just like this in front of the basket, and LeBron goes like this and just goes by him and throws it in. I stood up and said, "We're here." He did. I was like, and he was never my teammate. And I'm on the opposing team, like, yes, yes, he did this. And my teammate quickly grabbed me and told me to sit down because I'm over here cheering for the other team. But I was a fan for a second that I stood up and celebrated what an opponent did. And it's funny. I say that to say I did that the same when you played against us, and was more so rooting for you than wanting my team to win.
Yo, it's funny. It's funny you said a similar story, man. I'm never gonna say this guy's name, but I had a teammate who he just got traded to us from New York at the time, and Eddie Curry was playing for New York, and we're playing the Knicks at the time, and he just arrived like a game or two before he just arrived. So he's sitting on the bench. And honestly, I really believe he still thought he wasn't playing that much. So he thought he's still in New York.
I know exactly who you're talking about, too.
And Eddie Curry went on a move and dunked on us, right? Dunked on like two guys. And he, just like you, he totally forgot. And he jumped up. But instead of like you, he's standing around like, yeah, trying to give high five to the guys on the bench. And everyone's just looking at him like, yo, you're gone.
Gone.
You're gone. The next day, you're gone, man. That's crazy. I saw a question here that I wanted to bring up, but
go ahead.
Let me try to see it again. Something relating to.
We got 10 minutes too.
Huh?
We got 10 more minutes left.
All right, let me go down here. Oh yeah, right here. This one is a good one. Pretty much, what's your most memorable game?
Amazing.
We'll finish it at this as a pro. What is your most memorable game? College or pros? You go ahead.
I'll pick one. It's hard to pick one from pro, but I'll pick one from each. So for me, in college, like I said, I wasn't highly touted. I wasn't never spoke about going to the NBA. It was never I never thought it was going to be in my plan. It was a dream. And my junior year, we played against Maryland and Michigan State on back-to-back days. And I remember the week leading up to it, Michigan State had played Duke. And, you know, the guy that I was going to end up guarding was Paul Davis. He went to Michigan State, and they dubbed him the next Christian Laettner. And I remember my assistant coach coming in saying, you're about to play against a guy who they've called the next Christian Laettner. Plays for the USA team, just killed Duke, and now he's your matchup. And what you gonna do? I lied to you not. I didn't get any sleep the night before. And I get nervous before every game, whether it's a men's league game or an NBA game or whatever, or Olympics. I always just got nervous. But I always knew when I got nervous that I was going to be ready to play because it forced me to focus in and perform at a higher level. And I remember the first play of the game, I think I went baseline and dunked it on him. And he just let me do it. And then I was like, I got one. And I literally had my best game as a collegiate athlete against arguably the best big man in the country. And that was the day that people started asking, was I going to go to the NBA? So that was probably my most memorable game in college as a pro, barring the game we had against Bosnia, which we can talk about next time. That's probably one of the best games I've been a part of. You remember that game?
Yeah.
I think we had, and Sam knows better, I think we had 70 points and 40 rebounds between the two of us. But we'll tell that story next time. But for me, I think, here's the story with me. For me, we got 9 minutes. So for me, I'm in the G League my second year, my third year out of school. I'm in the G League playing for the Austin G League team, and we're in California. And I'm going on this run, and I'm playing these games, and a Toronto scout approaches me and tells me, hey, the Raptors want to work you out. So I have to fly from California to Austin to get my passport and then fly to Canada. And I can't say who I was working out against because everybody knows who it is. I get there, and as I'm coming downstairs in the morning to go to the workout, they pick him up in a limo. And I try to hurry up to get in because I was like, I know I'm not late. What's going on? And the limo just pulls off. And I'm like, how they just going to leave me like that? So then I get there, and then the team security pulls up in a 95 Navigator. And says, like, yeah, let's go, and picks me up in his in there. So mind you, like I said, it doesn't take much to motivate me. When I saw that they were picking him up with a limo and they picked me up in a whatever car, I was like, oh, I see where this is going. So the whole time I'm just focused. And funny story is where we get there and they take our height, weight measurements. And as we take our weight, it says strip down to your spandex and take your weight. I take my weight, they say my weight, and we turn around, and dude has taken all his clothes off. It's totally naked. It's totally naked. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And he's like, what? We're taking weight. He's like, I didn't know we were taking weight. I wouldn't have ate breakfast if that was the case. And I was like, man, what were you about to eat for breakfast? So right then and there, I already know what type of day it's going to be. He takes his weight. Obviously, he was a little heavy. Then we play. And literally, I may have had the best workout I've ever had, period. And my agent said, if the workout goes well, they'll keep you there. They'll keep you there, and you'll just play the next game. And after the workout is done, I was like, the workout couldn't have gone any better. I'm just going to prepare to stay. Then I find out that I'm getting on a plane in 2 hours. I was like, what? And so I was pissed. I get back to Austin, and I'm lost. And we have in the G League, we have these things called school day games where we play at 11 a.m. in front of a bunch of kids, and we invite a bunch of schools around to play. And I go and play the game. First quarter, I'm like 1 for 7, playing for Tim Snyder, and I just didn't have any energy. I was tired. I didn't have any legs. And my teammate, and I introduced you to this, and my teammate was like, "Yo, I have this little shop thing called a 5-hour energy. I can give it to you if you want and help you take it." I'm like, man, whatever you can do, I'll use it. So I get it, pour it in my Gatorade, and I drink it. I think I had 2 points and 1 rebound at the end of the first quarter, and I ended up with 46 and 19 to finish the game. And then after that, I never played another day in the G League, and I went to the Spurs, and then my career with the Raptors started. So that was my best game as a pro.
Hey, before I know, I want to answer it. I got a few, man, but it's gonna cut off anytime soon. But there's a few games for me that are memorable. I'll always remember, and I'll be quick. The first one is my first game ever in the NBA. It was against the New Jersey Nets. It was also the first time my mother ever seen me play basketball.
Yeah.
I remember, I think I had 21 and 11 or something like that. And I really realized that I belong in the NBA. It was kind of like, yo, welcome to the league. I'm here. My second one, kind of similar to yours, but didn't go your way. I was so tired one day, and my friend Adam was saying on the baseline, he got courtside tickets. And I remember I took 5-hour energy because I was so tired. And I'm not going to say what game that was, but I went 1 for 9. I made 1 jump shot, but I had 15 rebounds. I was just running.
Oh yeah, you told me this.
I was running all over the place, but I couldn't shoot for nothing. It was just, I had so much energy, but I couldn't focus. It was just go, 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 go. After that, never took energy drinks, so just naturally, right?
Mm-hmm.
My last one, this is hilarious, but at the same time kind of crazy. I got hit on my ribs. We had a back-to-back. The first game I got hit, like right here. I got elbowed. So I went home and I got this book for fruit drinks and juices that, take away soreness and stuff. So my chef put all these fruits together and mixed them. And he put beets in it and everything. And I drove to the game, for the next game. I remember going to the bathroom and peeing, but I was peeing, all the fruits that I took, but I think I took beets or something. So I peed, my pee was red, right? So I was shook, but I was like, yo, who do I tell? And I remember telling my teammate, I told Joe Kim, like, yo, I think last game when I got hit, something ain't right? So I'm going out there playing, and I said, yo, I'm going to make sure they remember me for this game. If this is
the last game?
If this is my last game, I'm going to make sure everyone remember me for this game. I went all out, bro. I went all out. Come to find out, I told the trainer's like, yeah, it's probably beats or something, and I was fine. But, yo, the way my mindset was, I gave it everything.
Yo, you took playing like it's your last game to heart on that one.
I was like, yo, they're going to remember me for this one, 20-20. I'm going in.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's hilarious. But we do have go ahead,
quick. Yeah, real quick. I think it's gonna cut off. So go ahead. You love doing your shouts out.
What is that? What is that though? What is that? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Because you gave me the job of clicking the question mark. So I think you should do the.
Well, I have the live document, so I know what we're supposed to be doing. So just
it's gonna cut, Pops. It's gonna cut.
So no, we started after 4 o'clock, so we're okay. And I'll try not to be long-winded, but for everybody that's asking, all the lives are going to be saved, and we're going to decide how we're going to, either replay them or have them available to watch at a later date. I know my man Sam from Hoops Fix has been releasing some of the snippets from our live. Also, again, appreciate everybody. Went another 2 hours today. I'm trying to talk. Could you not do that with
what?
Stupid Cup? There's nothing even in there.
I don't even think, did they sell Tottenham? Oh, we're in quarantine. You ain't getting no Tottenham Coat anytime soon.
Anyway, so yeah, again, shout out to everybody who joined today. Cole, Ords, Bose, Kieran, I don't know why I'm thanking you, but, Mateo, Cherie, everybody, appreciate you guys for joining us. Ashley, Stephen Murphy, dead cup. Tell him, Stevie, that's a dead cup, bro. That's a dead cup you have right there. But no, I appreciate everybody for joining. We didn't know what this was going to be when we started it. We just wanted to, give you guys some insight to what our lives are like during our careers. So with that said,
shout out to everyone, man. Respect, love. Benny, what you mean I have no respect? Nah, I have all the respect. Nah, shout out to Benny. Shout out everyone, man. Truly, this has been real cool. The feedback has been great. What I love the most is I never really thought about it this way, sharing the story this way. I think a lot of people, you read stuff and you see stuff, but for those that know us, this is just a straight up conversation. We're enjoying it. Whatever comes out of it that, is positive, it's a blessing, and, we'll see you guys.
Monday.
I'm not signing on in the live doc, but we organize this thing where we tell you guys, how the setup is. So we're gonna go back to our meetings.
Yeah, we'll figure out, but it's more than likely Monday. Monday we'll be back. So enjoy your Easter weekend. Happy Easter to everybody who's celebrating it. Enjoy. Obviously nobody's gonna be outside, so have a good one and enjoy it with your families.
Yep. Salah Bobo with the beat.
Whatever he just said. Peace. All right.
Peace.